Hi, my name is Brandon, and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. In our active addiction, a lot of us had relationships, whether they were with people outside of work, whether they were romantic relationships or relationships with friends, that were marked by chaos, by lots of arguments, by saying things that maybe we didn't mean at the moment, and then trying to figure out how to patch things up. So it's important for us to figure out how to address those kind of situations when they come up again once we're in recovery. Because all of us have situations in life where we say something that we don't mean, where we react a little bit too quickly, or maybe we misunderstand somebody and get upset with them when really they didn't mean things the way that we thought they did. So the question is, what do we do in those situations? Because a lot of us, at least for me, my tendency is to really beat myself up over those kinds of situations. When I get in at a point where I say something and get upset with somebody and then realize later, maybe I was out of line, I beat myself up, and that is, I would argue, that's the easy way out. That's the way I used to do things. I used to beat myself up and use that as an excuse to go get drunk or go get high. I used to beat myself up and mope around and wallow in it, have a lot of self-pity, and really just kind of beat my self-esteem into the ground. And that doesn't do anything. That doesn't help anything. Anytime we do something that we don't like, it's an opportunity to make ourselves better and to actually strengthen the way that we interact with the world. So here are the things that I try to do when I'm in one of these situations. And I had a situation like this earlier this week, and I didn't do all of these things. I still had a little trouble applying some of this stuff, so I've got improvements to make. But I think what I'm about to outline is an ideal way to look at how to handle those situations where maybe you say something that you wish you hadn't, or talk to someone in a tone or in a way that might not have been appropriate for that moment. So the first thing I do is try to think about, why did I react the way I did? If I get irritated with someone at work, why did I react the way I did? I had a situation earlier this week where I got irritated with someone at work, and that irritation was with both this individual who I have a long history with, and who I have a history with from before when I was in my active addiction, and there was a lot of things that happened at work with this individual that kind of fed into my reaction in that moment. And I was also frustrated because it was about something that I had brought up concerns about before, and people hadn't really listened to me, and so there was a little bit of my ego and my pride feeding into that. So I have to think about, why did I react the way I did, and really look at, is there any fear that was driving that reaction? Was there any fear at all? Because I do think that recognizing when we're acting out of fear is one of the most important things that we can do when we're looking at anything that we want to change in recovery. Next thing I look at is, what should I have done differently? And a lot of times this is easy. A lot of times what I should have done differently is take a breath before responding and just had a different tone in the way I responded. A lot of times I should have ignored any emotions that came up that were guiding my response, and instead just given the facts. Hey, here are the facts of the situation. More often than not, I find expressing the facts about a situation is a far superior way to approach any kind of contentious issue than giving my opinion about those facts. and it helps to avoid any unnecessary confrontation. Confrontation's necessary sometimes, but any unnecessary confrontation that comes from an emotional reaction that really is not appropriate to the situation. So once I've kind of gone through why did I react the way that I did, was there any fear involved in that reaction, and what should I have done differently? Next big question is, do I owe an apology? In this particular situation that I had earlier this week, I did owe an apology. It took me an hour or so of thinking about it to really get to the point of, yeah, I need to apologize to this person. So as soon as I realize I need to apologize, no delay, gotta do it. And so I reached out to this person. I apologized, and the one thing that I said that I wish I would have said it differently, was I said, I'm sorry if I sounded irritated today. And I don't think that saying I'm sorry if is good. You know what you did. I know what I did. I should have said I'm sorry that sounded irritated. I'm sorry if it just makes it a little conditional on how the other person interpreted what I did, and it puts a little bit of the responsibility on them, and that's not appropriate. Apologies are a time for us to take responsibility for our actions. So I should have said, I'm sorry that I sounded irritated today. The other thing never to do in an apology is to say, and I do this all the time with my son, because I'm tempted when I talk to my son, and like if I get upset with my son about something and then later I go to him and say, I'm sorry that I got upset with you, I avoid saying but, because that kind of negates the whole apology. So don't say, I'm sorry I got upset, but you need to XYZ. Either you're sorry or you're not. Just leave it at that. And there are some times with my son where, I probably don't owe an apology. It's probably okay for me as a parent to get upset with him. But I'm very sensitive to getting upset with people, letting my emotions drive my reactions, that I probably err on the side of apologizing for overreacting, and sometimes it might not be necessary. That being said, what I like to do at this point, once I've apologized, tell the person that I'm working on whatever, depending on the situation, tell the person, I'm working on this aspect of myself. I'm trying not to get so irritated in this situation. Tell them why you reacted the way you did. So I reacted that way because this has come up multiple times, and people have not really been, it seems like people have not really been listening to me, and I'm just irritated with talking about it so much, as an example. And then if there is something you'd like the other person to consider doing differently, tell them that as well. If you feel like the other person played a role in what happened, then this is an opportunity to tell them, because when you don't express to someone else what you think they should be doing differently in a situation like this, you end up holding a resentment. So, if you're in an argument with someone, if you're in a situation where they have done something that upset you, now is the time to tell them that. So it's okay to both accept responsibility for your own reaction and let someone know in a civilized, friendly, and loving way what it was that they did that it would be helpful if they could adjust in the future. So that being said, be prepared for any reaction. You cannot control the way people react to you talking to them about these things. And if you go to someone and are very diplomatic to them and ask them if they would consider changing something about the way they react or do something in the future, they may get very upset with you. They may get angry back to you. They may yell, they may scream, they may walk away, they may give you the silent treatment. Who knows? Or they may say, "You're right. I do need to change that. Thank you for pointing it out." Just be prepared for any of that. And remember that you usually don't have to react immediately in these kind of interactions. If you're feeling attacked, if you're feeling vulnerable, if you're feeling irritated, if you're feeling angry, it's okay to say, "I'm not sure how to react right now. I need to take a little time before responding." It's okay to ask to pause a conversation. It's okay to tell someone that it would be best to just take a few minutes, walk away, and come back later. It's okay to do that. If you do try to do that and someone continues to push, they're aggressive, or is reacting unreasonably, you are within your rights to leave the situation. Walk away, get out of the house, politely decline to discuss it further. Just remember, in all of this, the only thing you can control is your reaction to the situation. You can't control theirs. So even if you're being reasonable, even if you're trying to take the high road in the way you're reacting and they're not, that's not something you can control, whether it's right or not. And so it's your job to try to take that high road. It's your job to try to react in a reasonably well thought out way so that you can avoid the situations that many of us used to fall into in our active addiction, which is self-pity, anger, resentment, wallowing in our emotions, those things that kept us where we were. Those are the kind of feelings and situations we want to avoid in recovery. We want to approach things in a more proactive way, in a more reasoned way, so that instead of getting stuck in our anger, we can move forward with a process like this and try to become better at communicating with the people that we love, communicating with the people we work with, and at controlling our own reactions to situations that used to irritate the hell out of us. So that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with more. In the meantime, have a good one.